friends, welcome back to Editorials Discussion. Sorry for the delay, there is this slight delay because of some internet related connectivity problems, and I would like to tell you that in case there is any problem with regard to internet or power failure, we will get back to you within 2 minutes. So, please stay with the learning space, because when there is some internet related problem, we will definitely get back to you within 1 or 2 minutes. Then let us look at some important articles today. This is with regard to Jallikattu, one editorial in the Hindu and another editorial in Times of India. They have taken opposite views, and we are going to deliberate on what is meant by Jallikattu, what are the provisions as per the Act of 1960, and all these aspects we are going to deliberate. In addition to this, 1 or 2 articles from other newspapers also we are going to deliberate. And if you look at Jallikattu, this is at least more than 2000 year old. It is there in Sangam literature, and on the stone carvings also it is evident, and on the stone carvings one bull fighting with one man is there. So, it clearly indicates that there is some transformation of the traditional sport when you compare it with the good olden days. Then second point is, it is celebrated on Mattu Pongal day, that is the third day of Pongal celebrations, and subsequently also in southern part of Tamil Nadu, it is celebrated from January to June on several occasions in some of the places in Tamil Nadu, and it is basically taming of the bulls. This basically taming of the bulls, and bull is to be caught with the hump, and subsequently people have to take out the coins. The meaning of Jallikattu is Jalli or Sully means coins, Kattu means bag. So, that is the literal meaning of Jallikattu, and Supreme Court banned it in 2014. Why Supreme Court banned it, and what are the present provisions? These things we will discuss today. And Supreme Court felt that it is an offence under Prevention of Cruelty to Animals Act of 1960. But Tamil Nadu feels that it is a cultural pride and a tradition, and here 3-4 points are clearly evident. One important point is social media power is clearly evident once again, powerful social media. Second point is people react more on cultural issues than social issues. Cultural issues or gives more provocation than social issues in our country. That is the second point. Third point is Tamil Nadu is one state where people raise above the party lines. That means people unite in instances like this, and another instance is 1960s anti-Hindi agitation. Then also people rose across beyond the party affiliations. So, this time also beyond party affiliations, people just came to the streets, and Marina Beach is one example, right? And this has got some resemblance with this San Fermin festival. This Jallikattu has got some resemblance with the San Fermin festival, and San Fermin festival is Pamplona of Spain. So, this is celebrated in Spain, a place called Pamplona, and here the unfortunate aspect in this San Fermin festival is their bulls are killed, but that is not the case in Jallikattu. So, this is congregation of people in Marina Beach. And if you look at Prevention of Cruelty to Animals Act of 1960, and 2-3 important points, don't forget. One, Animal Welfare Board of India is there. Animal Welfare Board of India. This is under the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, and Animal Welfare Board of India is a statutory body, and its headquarters is Chennai, and 28 members are there maximum, and it advises government. So, it advises government, it is a statutory body, and Prevention of Cruelty to Animals Act 1960 established this Animal Welfare Board of India. That is one point. And basically, what is the main purpose of this Prevention of Cruelty to Animals Act of 1960? Basic purpose is to establish this Animal Welfare Board of India, which looks at various aspects pertaining to animals. here to protect animals from unnecessary pain or suffering. Animals are to be protected from unnecessary pain or suffering. They are transported, when they are transported from one place to another, when animals are transported from one place to another, it should not cause undue pain or suffering. Second thing is, when they are used as performing animals and when they are kept in confinement. You may have a doubt, what is meant by performing animal? Some of the animals are declared or eligible to act as performing animals, and performing animals also, there should not be excessive suffering to the animals, and performing animals rules were framed in 2001. So, the performing animals are to be registered and they have to follow the rules which were framed in the year 2001. And other aspects of Animal Welfare Board of India, before going into it, this Animal Welfare Board of India is basically the brainchild of Rukmini Devi Arundel. Rukmini Devi Arundel, almost for 20 years, more than 20 years, has taken the task of this Animal Welfare Board of India. And another important aspect is the functions of Animal Welfare Board of India is to reduce the burden on draught animals. You may ask, what is meant by draught animals? Draught animals are basically used for taking goods from one place to another. So, basically undue suffering should not be there, not only for performing animals but also for draught animals. So, these are as per this act. Then, to improve the condition of slaughterhouses, the slaughterhouses should also not cause undue agony to the animals. Slaughterhouses means these are the houses where animals are killed en masse, and certain rules and regulations are to be followed even in slaughterhouses also. Then, to give financial assistance to animal welfare organizations and to advise government with regard to medical care in government animal hospitals, and at the same time to impart education in relation to the humane treatment. And two things, please do not forget, this Animal Welfare Board of India, which is established based on 1960 Act, is headquartered in Chennai. That is one part. Second part is, this year we are celebrating Animal Welfare Fortnight from 14th January to 30th January. This also do not forget, right. And here, if you look at the next aspect, for Jallikattu, basically the issue came to the forefront because of a petition in Supreme Court by PETA, PETA. This organization is international organization. This is active organization looking at the suffering of animals. This is headquartered in United States of America, and PETA as well as Animal Welfare Board of India filed petition in Supreme Court. Supreme Court stated that Jallikattu comes under cruelty to animals as per Act of 1960. So, it banned it, right. And Supreme Court also stated categorically this bulls cannot come under performing animals. So, these two things very clear from Supreme Court judgment, and there are for and against. In fact, newspaper editorials today, the Hindu is against and Times of India is for allowing Jallikattu. So, let us look at the aspects which are for allowing Jallikattu and at the same time which are against Jallikattu. This is intrinsically linked with agrarian economy. Basically, India is agrarian economy, and this is more than 2000-year-old tradition. It is to be continued. But the interesting point is, around 2000 years ago, one man, one bull, the suffering to the bulls participating in this Jallikattu was not severe those days, but nowadays the problem is, it is not only causing agony to the bulls, but also it is causing injury to the human beings. These are important aspects. Then in India, such type of cultural sports are quite common in our country. So, you cannot see Jallikattu in isolation. Then drawing comparisons to San Fermin festival of Spain, meaningless. we have already discussed San Fermin festival in Spain, that is subsequently their bulls are killed. That is why there is no comparison of Jallikattu with the San Fermin festival, and Jallikattu plays a significant role in preserving and propagating native cattle breeds in Tamil Nadu. If Jallikattu is not there, these bulls may not be preserved, because nowadays agriculture is being mechanized, bullock carts are no more required. So, it is used as propagation of native breed in Tamil Nadu, and the present case some people feel is a judicial activism, right. So, this is for Jallikattu, and this is picture of San Fermin and against Jallikattu, and it is cruelty to animals, causing undue suffering to the animals. Then it changed from its original form of one bull one man fight. It changed from the original form of one bull one man fight, and now it is causing agony to the animals, at the same time injury to the human beings. And even our fundamental duties, if you look at fundamental duty of 51AG, it also prescribes prevention of cruelty to animals. So, if you see from this perspective, Jallikattu should not be allowed. So, there are for as well as against, and what is the way out finally? There are two ways of solving this problem. The first way is central government, because this PCA Act of 1960 was passed by Parliament, central government can moot amendments to PCA Act of 1960, and in the interim period it can give ordinance. And second point is law by Tamil Nadu to treat it as a traditional sport. Traditional sport comes under the purview of state governments. So, Tamil Nadu government can invoke a law to treat it as a traditional sport, but cruelty to animals should not be there, right. So, these two ways we can come out of this, but one fundamental point is cultural issues are more important in our country than social issues, as huge gathering in Tamil Nadu clearly shows, and the powerful social media once again came into focus, right. So, after this reboot disinvestment, rebooting disinvestment, and here recently Union Cabinet took a decision of divesting the stake of 25% in 5 government insurance companies. These 5 are government general insurance companies, and let me explain you a bit about these 5. This GICRE, that is reinsurer. Reinsurer means it takes partial risk from insurance companies. India, we have only one reinsurer. In India, we have only one reissuer, that is only GICRE, and it takes a partial risk from other general insurance companies. Normally, it will not be into direct insurance, it takes some risk from other companies. So, this GICRE is India's only reinsurer, that is one part, and when you are looking at GICRE, that created India's first India nuclear insurance pool. These two things please do not forget. If you look at GICRE, GICRE is India's only reinsurer. Second point is it created India nuclear insurance pool, that is 27th insurance pool across the world, and in India this is created by GICRE. These things do not forget. And these 4 general insurance companies which undertake directly general insurance, you may have a doubt, what is the difference between life insurance and general insurance? Life insurance is on the life of the people. If something happens, the insurance companies will pay. General insurance means if something happens, some theft happens, some electrical fault happens, under those circumstances various equipments are insured. That is the purpose of general insurance, right. Let us come back to the discussion. These 5 are 100% owned at present by Government of India. At present, these 5 are 100% owned by Government of India, and Government of India wants to reduce its stake to 75%. At present, 100% shareholding by Government of India. So, in otherwise, or you can say in other words, at present they are public sector private limited companies. In future, they will become public sector public limited companies. I think very few of you might understood these sentences. I would like to explain, and before going ahead, IRDAI is the regulator for insurance sector, don't forget, and news from editorial. Before going ahead with regard to the news from editorial, let me explain the difference between this public sector and private sector. Public sector, private sector. Public sector means when the government's stakeholding is at least 51%. So, majority shareholding is by government, that is public sector. Private sector means majority stakeholding is by private sector. I have given examples, BHEL and TPC, these are all examples of public sector, and TCS, Infosys, these are examples of private sector. So, this I think most of you are clear about, but if I say public limited, private limited, and very few of you will understand. Public limited means the companies which have public shareholding. You and I can invest. I can sell shares to you. You can sell shares of NTPC to me. I can invest in NTPC. I can invest in BHEL. So, these are public limited companies. I can invest in Reliance Industries. So, Reliance Industries as well as BHEL, these are examples of public limited. Private limited means when public shareholding is not taken, public shareholding is not allowed. I have given one example, Bharatiya Reserve Bank Note Mudran Private Limited. This is government owned company, owned by Reserve Bank of India, but still it is called private limited because 100% owned by Reserve Bank of India. You cannot invest in Bharatiya Reserve Bank Note Mudran Private Limited. So, public limited means public shareholding is allowed, private limited means public shareholding is not allowed. So, please differentiate between public sector, private sector. It talks about ownership. Public limited, private limited, it talks about whether public shareholding is allowed or not. So, this differentiation is very much important. And another aspect you should not forget, disinvestment or divestment. Disinvestment means selling the shares of government enterprises. If you are selling 5%, 10% by keeping 51% with the government, that is known as minority stake sale. And if you are selling majority stake, that is a strategic sale. Government will come out of management control. So, there are two ways if you look at a disinvestment or divestment. One is minority stake sale, other one is a strategic sale. So, these things are very much essential for you to understand this article. Without having a clear concept about these 2-3 things, you cannot understand the article. Now, you read this article, you will understand. And news from the editorial is, why government is reducing the stake? Why government is reducing the stake from 100% to 75% is, in recent times, this underwriting losses increased. These are insurance companies. Underwriting losses increased. You may have a doubt, what is meant by underwriting loss? Underwriting loss means normally insurance companies collect premium. Insurance companies collect premium, and when there is some claim is there, when there is some loss is there, they have to pay for it. So, here this insurance premiums collected minus expenses, that is underwriting income. But nowadays underwriting losses are there for public sector enterprises, public sector insurance firms. That means they are not working properly. Their premiums are less and the expenses incurred are more. So, here underwriting income, or you can say underwriting losses increased, and as per this article, government is slow on strategic sale. I just now explained what is a strategic sale. Please understand, government is slow on strategic sale. Next point is government should expedite the process of disinvestment. I just now explained what is meant by disinvestment. There are two types, minority stake sale and majority sale, or you can say strategic sale. And recently, a few months ago, government decided to ensure strategic sale in Bharat Pumps and Compressors Limited, Allahabad based organization. So, this is put up for strategic sale now. And if you look at BHEL and DPC, government undertake 5% stake sale, 10% stake sale. So, that is known as minority stake sale. And this year government's target is rupees 56,500 crores through this disinvestment, right. So, having learned this, why there is need for reducing the government stake from 100% to 75%. When government stake is reduced to 75%, 25% will be held by private individuals like you and me. Then somebody is there to question the efficiency. So, when public shareholding is more, when the shareholding other than government is more, then somebody will be there to question the organization. That is why transparency will increase, accountability will increase, and they can mobilize resources from capital market, then profitability will increase and government lethargy will go away, because somebody will be there to question the organization. So, reducing the government's share and increasing the shareholding by the public is very much essential to ensure the public sector enterprises to run on profitable lines. So, this article is all about it is a good move, and finally, it is suggested government should expedite disinvestment. So, that is evident from this article. So, we completed this article. Let us come to the next one, reopening old wounds. Here you should have some idea about this. I will take 2 minutes. If you want to read this article, you should have some idea. What is action, what is reaction as per this article? The action as per this article is, there was one bronze statue of a barefoot teenage girl, a bronze statue of a barefoot teenage girl was installed in Busan, South Korea. In South Korea, one teenage girl bronze statue was installed. And what is the reaction? Reaction is, Japan recalled its ambassador from South Korea. Japan recalled its ambassador from South Korea. So, what is the relation between that and this? To understand that, you have to go to Second World War. Go back to 1940s. During Second World War, Japan has committed a lot many atrocities during Second World War. Subsequently, it was defeated, that is different story, and subsequently 2 atom bombs were dropped on Japan. And prior to that, let us look at Second World War. Recruited, this Japan during Second World War recruited and used thousands of women from Korea, China and parts of Southeast Asia as sex slaves. And the name given to these unfortunate women was comfort women, and they were used as sex slaves. And this is the reason for straining of relations between South Korea and Japan for the past 75 years, right. And subsequently, if you look at 2015, during December 2015, South Korea and Japan came to an understanding. Japan apologized for the comfort women and agreed to pay over $8 million to help surviving comfort women. There are around 40 women still surviving, because that incidents occurred almost more than 70 years ago, but still as on date 40 women are still alive. And this issue in fact strained relations between South Korea and Japan. Because of the reason, Japan sometimes try to glorify the soldiers who committed war crimes, and at the same time sometimes apologize for the war crimes. So, somewhat ambivalent attitude was adopted by Japan during the past 70 years. Finally, this issue was thought to have been settled in December 15 when Japan apologized and agreed to pay over $8 million to help surviving comfort women, and South Korea agreed to consider the matter resolved at that juncture. So, both the countries came to an understanding in December 15, but now the installation of a statue by some activists in South Korea in a city called Busan again strained relations between South Korea and Japan. This is all about this article. I hope that you are clear about this article. Let us look at the next one. This is Kailash Satyarthi Nobel laureate article with regard to safe childhoods for a safe India. Safe childhood, and this article talks about, in fact, congratulating government for two things. India recently decided to sign International Labour Organization Convention 182. 182 talks about worst forms of child labour. It prohibits worst forms of child labour. At the same time, another ILO convention of 138. This convention talks about minimum age of employment. So, India is going to ratify these two conventions, and now Kailash Satyarthi congratulated the Indian government for taking this decision almost after 20 years, right. So, when India decided to ratify these conventions, Kailash Satyarthi supported this, and this, before understanding this, let us go back almost 5-6 months ago. Indian Parliament passed this amendments to the Child Labour Prohibition and Regulation Act of 1986. These amendments to the Child Labour Prohibition and Regulation Act of 1986 was amended. This was amended in 2016. The salient features of the amendment are: it prohibits employment of children below the age of 14. Basically, it is in line with the Right to Education Act of 2009. Right to Education Act specifies the children between 6 years to 14 years must be in school. So as to satisfy that Right to Education Act and also to satisfy international conventions, India passed amendments in 2016, and as per these amendments, prohibits employment of children below the age of 14, but one catch is there. The catch is children can work with the family and in family enterprises after school hours. Children can work in family and with the family enterprises. Most of enterprises in our country are run by family. There are several organizations, especially in unorganized sector, or family enterprises, family businesses, and children can work in family businesses after school hours and during holidays. This is the biggest catch. Some international organizations are not happy with this. Then the second point is, adolescents are prohibited in hazardous occupations. So, 14 to 18 age group children cannot work in hazardous occupations, and there is some definition of hazardous occupations, and what are plus and what are minus. And here, when Kailash Satyarthi supported these two conventions, it is a welcome move, but if you read the fine print of these amendments, there are some negatives. Viewpoint, counter view I have given here. The viewpoint is, we have to strike a balance between education and India's economic reality. That is why the children up to 14 years of age, the children of, please read this carefully here, employment of children below the age of 14 is prohibited, but they can work with family enterprises. Why this clause is kept? This clause is kept because of socio-economic reality of the country. That is one viewpoint. But what is counter view? This family enterprises is a vague term. Children can work anywhere. So, family enterprises is the vague term, and this is totally to be removed, and more number of the operations or occupations should be listed in hazardous occupations, then quality of education will be affected because of these. When children are allowed to work with family enterprises, then quality of education will be affected. So, because of these 2-3 reasons, these amendments are not a rosy picture in our country, but anyhow India, which is going to ratify these 2 conventions of ILO, is a welcome move, but the real problem lies with implementation of them. Because of the reason there are several loopholes in these amendments. Basically, these are the loopholes. One is basically family enterprises, because this term is quite vague, it is not that easy to define, right. Look at the next article. This is yesterday's business line article. This is with regard to general anti-avoidance rule. I would like to throw some light what is meant by general anti-avoidance rule, and this is yesterday's article of business line. It is general anti-avoidance rule, and here it targets only suspicious transactions. That means the transactions are made only for the purpose of tax avoidance. Normally, any financial transaction should have some commercial substance. Normally, any financial transaction should have commercial substance. When any financial transaction do not have commercial substance and it is solely for the purpose of avoiding taxes. If this is solely for the purpose of avoiding taxes, then the tax authorities can probe such deals. This is general anti-avoidance rules. So, this targets any business transaction or arrangement entered into solely for the purpose of avoiding taxes. Solely for the purpose of avoiding taxes, no commercial substance. Then it is likely to be implemented from 1st April 2017, and investments prior to 1st April will be grandfathered. And 2-3 important words, please do not forget. And this grandfathering means the investments made up to 1st April 2017 will follow the old rule, they will not be questioned, and only this general anti-avoidance rule will be applicable prospectively. 2 important terms in economy: retrospectively, prospectively. Retrospectively means for the transactions which were done prior to the date also. So, in fact, across the world, India's retrospective taxation caused total damage during the past 10-15 years. So, now India is very much careful with regard to not to invoke this retrospective taxation, and nowadays government is talking about prospective taxation. So, 2 things, please do not forget. This GAAR is basically to probe suspicious transactions which are meant only for tax avoidance, not with any commercial substance. Then second point is these transactions will be applicable, that means this GAAR will be applicable from 1st April prospectively, not retrospectively. That is second point, and all the investments will be grandfathered. It will not be applicable for the investments made prior to 1st April 2017. Then this is basically to stop misuse of treaties that India has with other countries solely for tax avoidance. Nowadays, government is also modifying double taxation avoidance agreement protocols, starting with Mauritius, Cyprus, Singapore. That means, on one hand, government is trying to plug the loopholes, and on the other side, government is invoking this general anti-avoidance rules also, because if anyone tries to use those loopholes, then government can question them. And to prevent round tripping through tax havens, our money going abroad and coming back, that is round tripping, and this happens through tax havens. So, as to prevent that, government came up with this double taxation avoidance agreement protocols. modification. Second point is government is now going ahead with GAR from April 1, 2017. And third point is participatory notes also being questioned nowadays with know your customer norms. So, these are various steps taken by the government, and now India is plugging loopholes in tax havens with amendments to DTAA, but the biggest problem is this may lead to tax terrorism. There is a fear of harassment by the tax authorities. So, this is the biggest drawback of this GAR, right. So, before concluding, let us look at one Economic Times editorial of yesterday, and this I am not going to discuss in detail. This we will present as a separate capsule this week. And universal basic income. Nowadays, people are talking about universal basic income, and substantially debate is going on in our country with regard to universal basic income, and Switzerland rejected the proposal for universal basic income, and one country now coming up, I could not recollect that country, and that country is coming up to implement it on experimental basis. And in India also debate is going on. And why this universal basic income came to the forefront at this juncture? There are several reasons for it, because nowadays several job losses are occurring, more and more job losses are occurring, creation of more contract workers is taking place, then automation is resulting in job losses, technological innovations resulting in job losses, and erosion of social security net. And as more and more workers are contract workers nowadays, the security of the job is the biggest question nowadays. So, government, there is discussion going on, not in the government, but in some quarters of economic experts with regard to universal basic income. What is the meaning of universal basic income? It is paid regularly, unconditionally to all the citizens of the country. So, this is the meaning of universal basic income, and if you want more, you have to wait. Tomorrow we are going to present capsule on this. So, friends, with this let us conclude the newspaper editorial discussion of today, and we will meet on Monday. Please do join for comprehension discussion at 12 o'clock, and bank PO, this questions and answers discussion for interviews will be there 8 p.m. in English, 9 p.m. in Hindi today. Please do not forget. Right, friends, have a nice day. Thank you. Thanks a lot.